Hello, friends. So, today we're going to review the yellow zone and the red zone. And while all the zones are really important, these two are extra important to me because they're a clue to you that your body is starting to lose control and that you might need to take a break. And so, the feeling words that we're going to review today are really important because when we know that we are having one of those feelings, then we can stop and think about strategies that work for us to help us get through that feeling in a really safe way. So, let's get started. Who remembers the yellow zone and what kind of control you have? That's right. You still have some control, but you're starting to lose it. So it's really important when you think of the yellow zone, I want you to think of a blinking light. And we talked a lot in school about when we're driving in a car with our parents and we see a yellow light, we start to slow down. It's saying to us, caution, the light's going to change soon, right? And it's going to change direction. So just like your body in the yellow zone, it's telling you, caution, slow down. I'm starting to have some really big feelings. So when we're driving and we see that yellow light, what do? We push the brake. And just like you're learning to take a break, it's kind of the same thing, right? Because we want to slow down and stop and think about our options so that we can make safe, expected choices. And that's why this zone is just so very important, friends, okay? So let's start reviewing what the yellow zone looks like. Okay, you might have arms crossed and a pouty face. You might see some angry eyebrows. Okay, sometimes you're going to see friends have a really wiggly body. Okay, they're not having that calm, in control body like they would in the green zone. So you might see some wiggling or starting to lose some control of our whole body. Okay, and we also might be a little bit silly. So you might hear, lots of laughing and silly noises. You might hear loud voices. You could also hear maybe some whining. Oh, but do I have to? Right? And you might hear some words that start to sound a little unkind. In our heart, what it feels like is we can feel really excited. We could feel really frustrated. We could feel in our heart that maybe we're not kind. We could feel maybe our heart beating a little bit faster. And sometimes we might just feel annoyed, like there's just something bothering us. Okay? So we're going to review the yellow zone feelings. And there are many feeling words that may not be mentioned today, and that's okay. I'm sure you guys can think of some other words that we could put in the yellow zone. But let's just review the ones that we've practiced. Jealous. Remember, jealous is when you wish you had something that somebody else had. Overwhelmed. Sometimes friends might feel that way if they have a lot to do, or if they're working on something that's a little bit tricky for them and they have to work really, really hard at it. It can feel overwhelming. Upset. I kind of like to think of that as a little sad, maybe starting to get a little frustrated. Embarrassed. Okay. Maybe you said the wrong thing to a friend, or we often talked about at school, right? If you accidentally toot, on the rug or in front of somebody. That might feel embarrassing. Excited. Now, excited is always a tricky one for my friends because they say, but Mrs. B, when I'm excited, I'm happy. Me too. But I want you to think about your body when you're excited. Do you have complete control over your body when you're excited? Is it calm? No, not usually. Sometimes we're jumping up and down and we're shouting and we're moving our arms, right? And we're not in complete control. And that's why it's in the yellow zone. Because sometimes, even when we're super excited, we might need to take a calming break just to kind of and get our bodies back to a calmer state. Uncomfortable. You could physically feel uncomfortable, or maybe something's happening around you that's making you feel uncomfortable. It's giving you a feeling that you don't like because maybe it's not expected behavior. Confused. Maybe you're learning something new and it's tricky for you, or maybe your teacher said something really fast and you didn't hear it all and you don't understand. So you're confused. Here we have annoyed. And a lot of times, annoyed, my friends like to put in the red zone. And that just tells me that when my friends have that feeling of being annoyed, that it's a really big feeling. Okay? So when you're annoyed, usually it's by somebody doing something that you don't like, or something's happening around you that's kind of bugging you. It's irritating you. Okay. Nervous. Grouchy, crabby. When I was a little girl, sometimes my mom would say, "Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed?" And that usually meant she thought I was grouchy or crabby. Anxious or worried. Remember, anxious might be when you're anticipating something happening. Like maybe you know you are going to have a substitute teacher for the day. Or maybe you are going to the doctor's and you are feeling a little anxious. Or maybe you're going to have a babysitter and your mom and dad are going to go out to dinner. And so you're feeling a little anxious or worried. Silly. Again, silly is just like excited, friends. Okay? Typically when we're silly, we do feel happy, but we're not in complete control. Okay? We might be loud, we might be making silly noises, we might be doing funny things with our body, and we're just not in control and always able to make expected choices. So that's why it's in the yellow zone. And the last one I have is scared. Okay. And one that I see that's not up here, and I'm not sure where it is frustrated. And frustrated is a feeling that we talk about that kind of comes right before you get angry. So if you know that you're having any one of these feelings up here, that's when you need to say to yourself, I need to take a break. I need to just step away for 5 minutes and take a break. So you get a timer. You set that timer for 5 minutes and pick a strategy, whether it's taking deep breaths. Okay. Maybe it's using a fidget in your hand, or maybe it's using a sensory bottle. But anytime you recognize in yourself any of these feelings, confused, jealous, overwhelmed, upset, embarrassed, excited, uncomfortable, annoyed, nervous, grouchy, crabby, anxious, worried, silly, or scared, when you have one of those feelings, it's a clue that you need to slow down, just like when you're in a car. Take a break, push the brake, That way you can make safe, expected choices. Okay? All right. So I'm going to need your help for a second because we're going to get ready for the red zone. And the red zone has some pretty big feelings. But just like we talk about every time we mention the zones, are there any bad zones? Nope. Are there any bad feelings, friends? Nope. Big feelings are okay. It's just what we do with them that matters. Okay. All right, friends. So when you're in the red zone, okay, you are out of control. You have completely lost control, and this is where you might need some help from a grown-up to choose a strategy to get you back to a calmer state so that you can kind of start making expected choices. Okay? So in the red zone, it might look like people fighting, kicking, pushing. They might have a really, really angry face. Their hands could be in a fist, okay? It could sound like really loud yelling, screaming, somebody crying really hard. Somebody could be stomping on the floor or maybe hitting a wall. Oh, friends, the red zone in our hearts, it doesn't feel good. When you're out of control, you want to be alone, and your body just isn't calm. And even though these are really big feelings, when we do have them and we do unexpected things, it makes our heart hurt. So just remember our options, right? It's always important. All right, so let's review. Aggressive. So when you're feeling aggressive, you might want to hit, punch, kick. You might feel like you want to hurt somebody. Okay? Mean. You might feel like saying mean things or doing mean things. Mad. Out of control. When you're out of control, you might be just kind of running all over the place, not in control of your body, not in control of your words. Angry. Terrified. And terrified, remember, we talk about is beyond scared. Like someone might be scared to do something and still have some control to be able to do it. But when you're terrified, you have no control and you're really, really scared and you almost might be frozen. Like you can't move. That's how scared you are. You might be yelling. And the last one, friends, is elated. And that's one of our favorite words, isn't it? And remember, he looks happy. So, why do we think it's in the red zone? We have talked so much about this feeling word, friends. Can you think? You're right. So, elated, you're happy, but you have no control. And we kind of compare it to the Super Bowl or someone winning the World Series, right? Everyone's jumping on top of each other, and they're often picking up those big Gatorade buckets and dumping it on top of the coaches, and sometimes they're throwing things in excitement. And even though they're happy, could someone get hurt? You're right, they could. That's why elated is in the red zone. So friends, you did a great job. And remember that there are no bad feelings, no matter how big they are. And we always don't make expected choices, and sometimes we're gonna make mistakes. But it's always good to stop and kind of think about what you could do differently next time. And then try it. I know you can do it. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody.